What's going on, everyone? It's Keith once again, and no, we're not talking about AMD, Intel, or NVIDIA in this video. What we are talking about is Cougar and the PURI TKL keyboard featuring Cherry MX switches. Now, this particular one features cherry red. I actually would have preferred brown. I'm a big fan of the tactile, but I don't like the click. But these cherry reds are very nice, and I really wanted to get an idea of how the actual Cherry brand was compared to Kale's. I've got a keyboard floating around with Kale switches, Kale red actually, and we're going to do a sound comparison later in there. But the idea here is a very straight keyboard. It's a 10 keyless, has a nice dust cover for the keyboard itself. They mentioned traveling around with it. I personally wouldn't imagine carrying just the keyboard, but I will say that I have carried it with me out of the house to a meeting and used it instead. It was a little awkward in the meeting to break out a keyboard and plug it in and everything when I usually use a Bluetooth one. But I did find that the keys were all stayed in place, and well, when I'm not at my test bench where I'd like to use this now, I can keep the keyboard covered and dust and stuff doesn't just fall in. So it does have a place. So if somebody thinks, well, this cover is kind of weird, I know I keep going on about the cover, but it's actually a really cool thing because, see, the keyboard, it's only $60. And that's the 10 keyless keyboard with Cherry MX switches, and it's pretty good. But now that I've rambled on enough about the keyboard itself, let's jump in and actually look at it and the build and how it functions and all of that fun stuff. Alright guys, so here we are with the Cougar PURI TKL. So this is with the cover on it, and we'll take the cover off now. I actually really like this cover because it does help keep dust off of the keyboard when not in use, which is going to be really helpful over on my test bench. But as you can see, it is pure white keys. There is no RGB here. I'm actually a really big fan of the pure white because it really does kind of go in with just about anything. So looking at the keys themselves, they're not very caved, but your fingers rest on them really nice. So what we want to do here is, like, even though it is all white, there are some color effects. I want to take a quick look at those to show you. The pulses, there's some reactive ones, so it will respond to different things. So I mean, the need or lack there rather of software is really nice. Turn this on so you get that where it snakes through, and you get the wave. I guess that's a synth wave. You got like kind of sparkles and stuff. We're going to go back to here, but you do have the ability to dim and brighten. I think it's got like a game mode, yeah, where it's WASD, and the arrow keys are lit up, which are really useful for if you're going to use these here, which we're not going to put these on here. Maybe we'll do a shot with them later. Just take a look at it. But you got your media keys here, and then you got like internet keys, like your email, home, a quick start or a quick launch to your calculator, search, music. Those are all integrated into the F keys, which I'm fine with that. It keeps the profile of the keyboard very low, even though it's a little bit wider and thicker than a normal 10 keyless, but that's because it's got the spots for the magnets for your cover to go. But let's turn all of my lights back on. Let's lean in here for a quick typing test. Now, I am going to back out in just a moment. We're going to take a listen to a Kale switch, since these are cherry, so it's either between the red cherry or the cherry red and the cherry or the Kale red. Goodness. So all right, so here's the typing test, leaning in at a reasonable level. So they all sound very solid. There's no hollow sounding, which is something I super like to hear, is whenever they feel like a thud. And you, like whenever you let off like that, you don't hear like a vibration. So it's a very solid keyboard. There's really not a whole lot else to talk about as far as the design. Now, it does have the channels on the back side for this cable to be routed out either this side here or the left side, so that your cable isn't coming just out of there if like your monitor sits up against it. It also has dual stage lift on the feet, but it actually has a very nice arch right here. But when you lift them all the way up, you've got a really high, so it's really good on your wrist if you got wrist problems with that. But there you have it. With that out of the way, very simple keyboard. Again, I know I've said it 100 times and I'll say it again in the conclusion, but let's get to that conclusion real quick. Well, there you have it, guys. That is the Cougar PURI TKL with almost got it wrong, white LED backlit Cherry MX red switches, and the metal keycaps, the metal keycaps are actually really nice. They really differentiate, but as far as the way they feel, not a whole lot of difference when you first feel them, but they are a bit more on the solid side. So very nice addition. You're gonna laugh, but whenever I saw that it came with metal keycaps, I was thinking the whole keyboard. Now that would have been a little bit much for a $60 keyboard, but the inclusion of the arrow keys and the WAS keys, that does make it at least give you a little bit of ability to change it up. Now, this thing is super solid. It doesn't feel cheap at all. It feels very weighty. I never moved around while I was using it, and the feedback, I mean, it's Cherry, so it's solid all the way across the keyboard, very uniform. The lighting is good. It's very uniform. There's no dim spots on it. If you don't like RGB but you want your backlighting, I don't think you could really go wrong here. I can't recommend this keyboard enough, and to be quite frank, in the past I've had some issues with Cougar, and that was years ago, so I was kind of skeptical when they offered to send me something, but you know what? If more of their products are built as well as this keyboard, I'm willing to give them a chance, and I'm definitely willing to recommend the PURI TKL. So this has been Keith with WCCF Tech TV. Let us know what you think about these type of keyboards. $60. I mean, would you buy it? Let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that we don't miss you and the next one.